This is chapter 3 video lecture talking about cost, volume, profit. And the problem that I'm looking at right now is asking for present yearly net operating income or loss. And when we're working with cost, volume, profit, we want to use contribution margin income statements. And so these are managerial accounting, not generally accepted accounting principles, but something used internally to help make decisions. And those income statements are set up with sales, variable expenses, which gives you contribution margin, minus your fixed expenses, which gives you a net income or operating loss. So for this particular problem that we're looking at, we have a company that has a new product and it's trying to find the optimal selling price. Marketing studies suggest that the company can increase sales by 5,000 units for each $2 reduction in the sales price. So I'm going to make some notes over here. $5,000 increase in units sold with a $2 drop in sales price. Okay, the other information that we need for this problem is that the company's present selling price is $70 per unit. The variable expenses are $40 per unit. And we know that fixed expenses for this relevant range of 1 year are $540,000. It also tells us that the present annual sales volume at the $70 selling price is 15,000 units. So we'll take this information and create a contribution margin income statement. And so currently we're selling for $70 per unit and we are selling 15,000 units. So currently our sales is 1,050,000. Our variable expenses is per unit. So we take our number of units times the variable cost per unit. And then our contribution margin is sales, by definition, sales minus variable cost. Our fixed costs are given. And so our net operating loss in this instance is our contribution margin minus our fixed expenses, or $90,000 loss. That's currently. Then in number 2, it asks us, what is the present break-even point in unit sales and in dollar sales? And so the way you calculate break-even point in units is your fixed cost divided by your contribution margin per unit. So our fixed cost is $540,000, and our contribution margin per unit is our current sales price minus our current variable cost, or $30. And so $540,000 divided by $30 per unit gives us 18,000 units, and that is our break-even units. To get our break-even in sales, we can simply take that number of units and multiply it by our sales price per unit. So if we sold $1,260,000 worth of product at $70 per unit, we would break even or have zero profit, zero loss at $1,260,000 worth of sales. Then in number 3, it says, referring to the original data, I'm sorry, that's number 4. Number 3, how many units would have to be sold each month to earn a target profit of $90,000? It asks us to use the formula method. And it asks us to verify our answer by preparing a contribution format income statement at the target sales level. I looked at the wrong number 3. So number 3 says, I'm in problem 319, by the way, at the end of chapter 3. Problem 3 says, assuming that the marketing studies are correct, what is the maximum annual profit that the company can earn? At how many units and at what selling price per unit would the company generate this profit? So there's a couple of different ways to work through a problem like this. I'm actually going to work through it the way the book did, because if you do this in Connect, that's the way they're going to set it up for you. And so I'm going to set it up this way. There's a way that we could do this by programming Excel, but we're not going to do that right now. And so right now I'm just setting up some columns. I've got my unit selling price, my unit variable expense, my unit contribution margin, and then I have my fixed cost, net operating income. So I'm just going to format these a little bit. This one will wrap that text as well. Okay, so right now my unit selling price is $70. My variable expense is $40, which is given, and then my contribution margin is simply my sales price minus my variable expense. Currently at a volume of 15,000 units. Contribution margin then would be our unit contribution margin times our volume. Fixed expense are given to us, those don't change, and then our net operating loss is our contribution margin minus our fixed expense. Hopefully you're starting to see the pattern there with that, and they tell us with a $2 drop. So I'm going to go from 70. Oh, I didn't see my pattern. Hang on. I'm going to go ahead and go down to 52. This doesn't change. Unit variable cost doesn't change. Our contribution margin, I can copy that down because I used a formula. Our volume, they said, would increase 5,000 units with every $2 drop in sales price. So I'm going to increase that by 5,000. And again, I should be able to use my formula here to calculate that. My fixed expenses do not change. And I can use my formula here to carry that down as well. So what I'm looking at is, where do I maximize my profit? And right here is where we maximize our profit. So if we sell at $58 per unit and our marketing study is correct and we sell 45,000 units, then right here is where we maximize our profit. Finally, in number 4, it said, what would the break-even point unit sales in dollars be using the selling price you determined in requirement 3 above? And so if we do make that decision to go with the $58 per unit, at what point would we break even? And again, these are all terminology and formulas that we would use internally in analyzing what's going on with our company. Our contribution margin, and I'll work that out for you. The contribution margin would be our sales price of $58 minus our our variable cost, so $18. And so our break even at that point is our fixed cost divided by our contribution margin per unit, or 30,000 units to break even.